In the following video, I would like to talk to you about the question, when is corruption good? But before we do that, let's define what corruption in fact is and how it compares to regulations. Corruption involves the behavior on the part of officials in the public sector, the political power, that politicians or civil servants, in which they improperly and unlawfully enrich themselves, or those close to them, by the misuse of the public power entrusted to them. So corruption is when they improperly and unlawfully enrich themselves. To my opinion, there is an area where we think it could be corruption because they are enriching themselves. But the word enrich points to financial capital enrichment. But there might be other areas which are important for political power, people, leaders, political leaders, where they can enrich themselves without the financial gain. So let's have a look into that. But before, you have to make the split between economic power, dominion, versus political power, which is lawmaking, imperial. According to Hayek and Mises, political power should be given to the states and the economic power to economic institutes. For them, there was a major difference between what the political power should decide on, namely laws, and what economic power should decide on, which is economics, global economics, which led to institutes like the World Trade Organization and the International Monetary Fund. But this can lead to problems, especially when political powers start to work together with economic powers. For example, by lobbying of the economic powers in political environment, this could lead to lawmaking regulations just to protect the markets of the strong economic powers. So economic powers are enforcing political power to make laws just for regulations for protection. And what has been found out is that as soon that happens, innovation will be stopped. Because people don't have the space anymore to do innovation because of the heavy regulation. On the other hand, we need regulations because if we have no regulations at all, we know that economic powers will use that to get an enormous gain by destroying environment or other measures. So we need regulations, but at the same time, we also need innovations because environment is changing. We as human beings have an effect on our environment. And because of that, environment is changing. And in some cases, we are even changing it in the wrong way. So we have to find out how to change that into a way that we don't ruin our environment. So we need regulations and innovation as well. So how can we try to introduce an environment, a possibility for a situation that we can use regulations, but at the same time, innovation? The proposal is to have a kind of special sandbox environment for disruptive innovations. And those sandbox environments are supported by political and economic leaders, but not for financial gain, not for protecting their markets, but for special new innovations, disruptive innovations to test them. They should not be done by subsidies or investment vehicles, because what happens when you start subsidizing from the state and you have a strong cooperation between economic power and political power, subsidies will just lead to more regulations to protect the market. So it will enforce supervision. It will enforce bureaucracy. And especially what will happen is that they will set conditions by those ruling parties, by these economic powers and political powers, for protecting their current market situation. So you have to find out another way to get support for this special sandbox environment. You have to state from the beginning that the leaders who are supporting that environment should not get financial gain, but could get other types of gain, like marketing purposes. We are supporting innovation. We are supporting what is necessary in our society. So they could very clearly state that they allow innovations to improve society by testing the existing regulations. Why do we have these regulations and how could it be done differently and maybe better? They should allow to get disruptive innovations to get that market share. And yes, they will be involved. They will show their position as political and economic leader. They will not get financial gain, but when it's a success, they will have a lot of other gain. Thank you for your attention.